Hey there, Corey from Oval Edge RC. So welcome back to part two. We're tearing apart the Traxxas Modified today. We're taking out the transmission. We're going to clean out the grease. We're going to tear the diff out. We're going to clean out the diff fluid that they have in there, and then we're going to kind of reassemble, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks along the way. I'm going to speed through this. I don't want this to be a really long video, so we're going to have a time lapse. I'm going to do a little voiceover, and I'm going to break out some segments that I think are important to highlight. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and yeah, enjoy the video.
All right, so what we got going on here is we're going to remove the tires, the wheels, and we're going to start to remove the bumper and get the transmission off the car. So you see here, I'm taking off all the wheels. I take those lug nuts, I put them back on the axles so I don't lose them, and then I go right to work on the rear bumper. There's like two long screws you really got to get out. I got to remove that gear cover because it's a brand new car. And we're just going to continue to work on this until we get that bumper off. After we work through the bumper, we're going to unhook the rear axles, and we're going to start to undo kind of the suspension components and that rear body post. So I go to work on the axles here. There's a small one-way kind of like set screw. So you're going to remove that, pull that off, and just continue to kind of unpiece all of these parts so we can get that transmission off. All right, now that we got most of the linkage off, we're going to go to work on the bottom, and we're going to get the transmission screws out so we can remove it from the chassis. And then we're working on the body posts here, and now we have got the transmission basically out. We just got to get this shock tower off, and the transmission will be free. All right, so then we're going to go to work. We remove the diff here. It's a removable diff, which is kind of nice on this new transmission. We're going to take out all these screws, and I'm working around the top of the transmission to the inside and keep those screws in that order.
Okay guys, Corey here. I just wanted to go over something a little more in detail that probably wasn't explained very well in the time lapse. So this is the transmission that we just took apart, and when I talk about removing the screws in a particular order, start at the top left. You just kind of follow this outward pattern, and then you're going to come back up and you're going to finish here. The reason we're doing that is because all these screws are different lengths, and you want to make sure you get them back in the right hole so it clasps the transmission together correctly, and you're not having a bolt stick out further or mess up the threads or so forth. So yeah, use that top and swirl.
It's very important because they have to go back that way. We're also using a cleaner here to degrease the inside. So that's like an isopropyl alcohol or a brake clean will work fine. And we're cleaning all the parts. We're soaking them, especially the bearings, because the bearings have a special grease inside. We want to get that all removed. And we take the bearing covers off. Again, getting all the grease off, taking the differential apart now. And once that diff is apart, we'll start to clean the inside of that diff oil out, it's almost like honey. It's so tacky and sticky. It's pretty crazy. We're going to clean all these individual parts. We're going to reassemble, and we're going to use a light oil. And so the oil that I like to use, which isn't on camera right now, but I use a 3-in-1 machinist oil mixed with a 3-in-1 synthetic oil.
What is going on here? Really? All right, so one other thing I want to cover. So oils, 3-in-1 machinist oil, 50% mix with the 3-in-1 silicone oil. Give it a swirl. This stuff tends to dry, but when you mix these, I've had really good luck, really good luck with this combination. Talking about cleaners, this is what I'm using. It's a foam tire cleaner from when I used to race carpet. It's really aggressive, but it cleans the grease out really well. Brake Clean, PB Blaster, probably WD-40, any of those would work as well. Any type of degreaser would be fine. I typically try not to leave those chemicals on the plastic though. So degrease it, wipe it, clean it, take it to the sink, give it a wash, give it a dry, make sure all the water's out, and then, continue on. So, all right, I just wanted to chime in with that real quick.
They're on screen now here. So do a 50-50 mix, and I do that with my bearings, I do that with my diff, and let them soak because the lubrication you get out of those is incredible. All right, real quick. So inside the diff, you're going to have some seals. They're blue. There's one on each side of the shafts, and then there's a bigger seal that kind of seals the entire diff case. Try to keep the harsh chemicals off those seals. You don't want those to get dried out. You don't want them to rot and start to leak. And then make sure you get them back in the right spot for reassembly. Otherwise, you're going to have a leaky diff, and ain't nobody like a leaky diff. So, all right, cheers. So again, I struggled here with the diff, getting it back together. The torque settings on those, I don't know what the torque settings should be, but you really have to play with it. If it's over tight, it won't turn. If it's too loose, the fluid will leak out. So it's really a trial and error. And here we're reassembling the bearings, cleaning them all out, using some air. So using an airbrush there to blow all the grease out, re-lubricate them with the little jar there of the my yellow oil lubricant mixture. And then we're just kind of reassembling the transmission and starting to put everything together. Again, the screws got to go in a certain order. Make sure you're tightening them appropriately, constantly turning that drive shaft to make sure that it's not bound. If it is, quarter turn on each screw, try it again. Maybe, an eighth of a turn in. Like, you got to play with it and kind of really see where things are at. All right, that's going to do it for part 2 of the Traxxas Modified series. We just went through the whole transmission piece and getting that kind of race prepped. I'm going to go ahead and put the transmission back in the car, and then follow me for part 3, where we're going to start talking about suspension setup. We're going to talk about doing some body modifications so we can get the body off the wheels and things, and then just starting to kind of go through those other pieces. So yeah, stay tuned for the next piece. We'll see you soon.